what's crazy about that, and this is what everybody thinks, is that the values are going to go down. Do you know that since Q1 of last year, we've seen a 7.8 increase in appreciation value for homes across the United States?
Yeah, that's a lot.
7.8%.
Yeah.
Right. So the average is three to five. We saw 7.8%. And the folks that were sitting on the sidelines saying, hey, I'm going to sit back and wait, they missed out on 7.8% in potential appreciation. And let's just say average home price here, in DFW, what, $400,000 or $500,000?
Yeah.
That's $20,000, $30,000 that they missed out on in appreciation. Welcome to Real Estate Success Partner. We're your hosts, Devin and Dubuc.
David and Nguyen.
And we're here to talk about how to have great success in every market. Today, guys, we got somebody really awesome. Dave, who'd you bring in this week? Dave?
It's us.
Brother, yeah, it is us today. Hey, you know what, guys and gals, we hear you guys talking all the time, and we get asked all the time, what's going on in the mortgage industry today? And we thought, what a great opportunity to kind of get back to the grassroots of things and just talk about the state of the industry, the state of the market, and maybe some of the things that folks really want to hear and know, right? So this may be a quickie. You never know. Shorty, we'll see where this thing goes, right, Dave?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's just kind of go back in time a little bit and take them from, where we were 4 or 5 years ago all the way to today. I love it. I think the genesis of everything is COVID, right? We all remember COVID, even though it was 4 or 5 years ago.
Oh, I don't think we'll ever forget COVID.
Yeah. COVID, I think it's a major moment in our lives that we
remember that time where you just stayed home for a year.
Yeah.
Didn't get to see your friends, right?
Yeah.
Really didn't get out much. No vacation.
It was terrible.
COVID. Yeah, I think we all remember it. So.
Yeah, it was terrible. I always start off that we work in the industry, unfortunately, where we do well as an industry when it comes to interest rates or housing or something like that. When there's turmoil in the world, whenever there is COVID, the stock markets are crashing, world wars.
People are losing jobs.
Yeah. When stuff like that happens, it causes interest rates to go down. When interest rates go down, it spurns the market, whether it's a refinance or a housing boom or whatever the case is. So anytime you see stuff like that and you follow the news out there, you can be darn sure that interest rates are taking a dip.
They are. Yeah. And again, this is historical, right? We see it year to year over and over again. And at the end of the day, COVID was just one of those perfect storms, right? That caused for just an unbelievable market rate, something that we'll probably never see again.
No.
And as a result of that, and I heard this the other day and I absolutely loved it. This the folks we follow. We always like to talk about our coaching for friends and family at the Mortgage Marketing Animals. And this one was Owen Lee. He's actually one of our competitors, the CEO of Success Mortgage Partners. And what Owen said was, we had this great big cocktail party and everybody had such a great time, but we let that bar tab run just a little bit too long.
No.
And as a result of that, we're still paying the bill.
Yeah.
We're still paying the bill, right? So we all got access to really free money. And we're not just talking about, us in the mortgage industry or in the real estate industry, but consumers as well, right? Because effectively, the government's handed out money over this period of time. Rates are at a point where we'll, like I said, never see them again. And as a result of that, now we're paying it back, right? We got it paid forward. Now it's time to pay it back. It doesn't feel so good, right?
No.
It doesn't feel so good. So where does that put us today, right? So we had these great years, 2020, 2021. They weren't so great, for being able to get outside and spend time with friends and family, but they were absolutely fantastic for, people's financial rewards and benefits. Interest rates were great. People were buying houses, hand over fist. Equity positions were just rocketing, right? People are getting in there and seeing 20, 25% increases in the properties that they purchased, right? And so this all happens, and then all of a sudden the water just gets shut off, and that's what, mid-2022?
Yeah, so think about that. During that period of time in American history, it was the largest savings that the American public had in their savings account during COVID ever in the history. And now fast forward to this, it's the worst of economic times. It's people have used up all their savings in less than 2 or 3 years. Think about that for a second. That's right. That's an astounding statistic.
It is. Well, I mean, and inflation, was at all-time high, and it's still not completely under control. And that's one of the things that definitely dictates mortgage rates, right? As inflation comes down, we'll see rates start to improve. But you're 100% correct. There was a statistic we heard the other day, and we've talked about this before. I think we shared it before. The average homeowner in America has, I believe it's somewhere around 2, and this is a big number, right? Especially considering just a few years back, the average home price was probably $300,000. But the average home owner in America has about $278,000 in equity in their home. However, simultaneously, after COVID, has about $97,000 in consumer debt, right? So, effectively, a lot of us are house rich and cash poor, right? And that's a result of inflation. When home prices rapidly increase 20, 25%, guess who else joined the party, right?
Yeah.
The automotive industry, the oil and gas industry, pretty much any industry that we can talk about because we have a supply and demand issue. Now, all of a sudden, price points go up and we're all spending the money because we have it. But what happens when the money gets turned off, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And here we are.
Yeah, so let's talk about this. As we sit here today, Devin, what is it, April 19th, 2024?
That's the day. Last time I looked, let me double. Yep, we got April 19th.
So we just came off maybe one of the worst years in the last 30 years for purchases. I think they said something like 2023 was worse than 2008. If everybody remember 2008, that was the big housing boom, right? The financial crash.
That was a tough time in this industry for sure.
Yeah,
and in America.
Yeah,
right? Across the board.
Yeah. So as we sit here, we're coming out of 2023. The first 4 months of this month has seen about a 20. I think this says like a 20% increase in mortgage applications, in home sales. So all that pent up frustration from the last year is definitely showing. I think we're seeing real estate starting to move again.
Well, applications are up, believe it or not, mortgage rates are up too, right? So if you look at this quarter one of 2023 in comparison to quarter one of 2024, I believe we're up. It's about 30, 40 basis points from where we were just last year. So all these folks that were sitting around waiting for the mortgage rates drop to get out there and purchase the home, they're in for a big surprise because the rates still haven't dropped and either they haven't moved forward or at the end of the day, they're still thinking about what they're going to do. And let's talk about that because one of the big things we always talk about is, inflation, or I'm sorry, not inflation, the equity that you build in your home, right? So effectively, we know that homes appreciate. So for appreciation, homes appreciate typically 3 to 5% a year, right? And this is on average. And if we go back and we look at the last 80 years or 8 decades, what we know is out of those 80 years, there's only been 7 times where mortgage homes have depreciated, right? Homes depreciated value. In addition to that, out of those 7 times, only twice has that happened in a given year, right? So again, we've discussed this before, but what that means is that when you're investing into real estate, the odds of you actually gaining equity or in your appreciation are definitely in your favor. And, folks, again, last year were saying, hey, home prices are too high, they're going to come down. And there's some markets where there may be some correction needed, right? We know that. We've heard some stuff down in South Florida and the other parts of the U.S. Where there has been, some inflated market values. But what's crazy about that, and this is what everybody thinks, is that the values are going to go down. Do you know that since quarter one of last year, we've seen a 7.8 increase in appreciation value for homes across the United States?
Yeah, that's a lot.
7.8%.
Yeah.
Right. So the average is 3 to 5. We saw 7.8%. And the folks that were sitting on the sidelines saying, hey, I'm going to sit back and wait, they missed out on 7.8% in potential appreciation. And let's just say average home price here, in DFW, what, $400,000 or $500,000?
Yeah.
That's $20,000, $30,000 that they missed out on in appreciation. And what's happening with home sales right now in the DFW, right? And in many markets, homes are starting to sit on inventory a little bit longer. Right. And you see the folks out there actually starting to take offers on homes opposed to stacking up their offers and going, hey, which one do we want to pick? How much are we going to accept over offer? There's still some places they're going over, but I think for the most part, most of them are starting to say, hey, we got to negotiate a better price point, which means that the folks that are actually out there buying right now have a great opportunity to get in at a lower price, and they still have that ability to gain the appreciation value that the folks that didn't didn't purchase last year missed out on, right?
Yeah. So, as we sit here, in America as a whole, we have a shortage of inventory. I think we're about 1.5 or 2 million homes short of what a normal market cycle is.
That's right.
And everybody's concerned about, we have all these buyers out there, but there's not enough inventory. I remind everybody, one of the things about, selling houses or mortgages or whatever, it's called the D's. You know what? Divorce, diamonds, diapers, and death.
Right.
Those all spurn something in the market, right? So, yeah, great. You would be sitting on a 2 or 3%. You want to get out of the house, or you have to downsize, or one of those things happen. Eventually, I call it natural course of life. I think everything corrects itself eventually.
I agree.
We're coming out of it now, which is great.
We are.
The people that are still left in this industry, it's going to be, they're expecting a great next 3 years. I think last time 2024, 2025, and 2026 are supposed to be three of the best years in the last 20 years in real estate and mortgages.
That's exactly right. And we've seen, in the mortgage side of the industry alone, we've seen about a 60 to 70% reduction in employees, right? Loan officers in general, right? So if we talk about the average loan officer, and what's crazy, a lot of people think, what's an average loan officer? Man, they must be closing a lot of loans. The average loan officer is what they will consider somebody who's closing at least one loan per month, right? It's effectively, so if you're closing at least one loan per month, that's what we're talking about. And we've seen a 60% reduction in loan officers renewing their licenses, which means there's a lot of people that have gotten out of this industry. So there's a lot less people here. However, the other thing, and this was a big statistic, is last year the average loan officer was actually closing 1.9 loans on average. Again, because there was less loan officers in the industry. But, this year it's 1.3. It's down almost 0.6, right? So effectively, why is that happening? At the end of the day, we're in a coaching program. Dave, I know you close a lot more than one loan a month, right?
Yeah.
But why is that, right? Why is it that some people over here are struggling to find business and others out there are still having success? Just like the agents that we interview on the phone, or on the show, right? Effectively, what we typically see, what is it, Dave, that typically causes for folks not to do well in this industry?
I honestly, I think it's a plan. I think it's executing a plan, having coaching, having a plan of what you do on a daily basis. You know this, Devin. I think our greatest thing that we did in the last couple of years was get a mentor, get a coaching program.
That's right.
We talk about it all the time. We're super proud of it. Both of you and I are part of the Marketing Animals or the Freedom Club, and it's completely changed.
Well, now Leadership Academy, right?
Yeah,
it's where we're talking to the top tier branch managers and business owners across the United States of America.
Yeah.
In fact, we're about to fly out to Florida.
Yeah.
Let's go, baby.
Come on, baby.
It's going to be a good time down in Tampa and just have a great time with all these great people. But it's not just about having a great time, because what are we doing at those camps?
We're igniting ourselves. What do we say? We gotta engulf ourselves with positive people so we can take back, the information and the energy back to our branch. So.
That's it. But it goes back to, what are the folks out there that are having success doing? The successful people, it's activity, right?
Yeah.
It starts with having a good plan, right? You got to have a good plan, right?
Yeah.
If your plan sucks, it's probably not going to work out so well, right? If you have no plan, well, that's probably not going to work out so well either. And you can have a great plan, but if you don't execute that plan, right? Well, that's probably not going to work out for you either, right? But the folks that are out there executing the plan at a high level, their activity is really dictating their results. And we see it every day, right? We've got folks on the team that, don't do so well. And typically when we take a peek behind the curtains, what do we find?
Yeah, they're not doing some part of the plan.
Yeah, it has to do with the activity, and so we see all these successful agents out there. What are they doing? They're doing everything they can, right? They literally anywhere that they think they could potentially market to, that's what they're doing. And as a result, typically it comes down to a sphere of influence and a lot of communication, a lot of pickup of phone calls. For us personally, with our coaching plan, we call it octopus arms, right? We got octopus arms, right? We're out there, with our octopus arms, and we're doing a little bit of something everywhere, right? We're doing podcasts, right? We're actually out here communicating with agents across the United States of America. We're picking up the phone and we're making phone calls. We're doing social media activity, right? We're doing stuff online. There's all kinds of things that we're doing so that we're consistently, out there communicating with people and trying to bring business in. And I think that's a big part of what drives success is the folks that are willing to do that and willing to step up to the plate and work hard for their money, right? Because sometimes, let's be honest with each other, you got to put a little elbow grease into it, to get the old-fashioned results, right?
What was that I told you the other day? I saw a quote. The most successful people are not successful because they're any different. It's that they thrive at the mundane task, the task that people go, man, I don't want to do this more. I don't want to make 50 calls today.
Yeah,
that's a mundane task. Hey, I don't want to go knock on doors. That's a mundane task. Hey, I don't want to do this. All those I don't want to are the difference between success and not success.
How do you get past that, though? How do we get past that, right? How do we get past the mundane task and making it happen, right? I think we've got a little special secret sauce, right, on how we do that. What would you say it is?
We link arms. That's you know what? It's everybody needs help out there. One of the things we
Whether
do,
we're talking mortgage or not, right?
Yeah.
Link arms,
yeah,
right?
yeah. Join a group, join a party. It all started with our group. The market animals. We get energy from that. We take it back to our branch, and one of the things we do is we hold each other accountable. One of the things we do. One of the things we do in the morning time is for 2 hours a day, which is not a lot. We all go on a Zoom call. And we make our phone calls. So where for sure we know for 2 hours a day we're doing this activity, which is the number one activity of getting in front of people and generating sales and leads and so forth.
Yeah.
And on the days that you don't want to do it, you do it anyways because you don't want to let that other person down because you just get up because it's part of your life.
Well, there's my brother Dave over there, right? He's making his calls, and I can see it. You didn't say we mute the Zoom, so we mute the Zoom and then we make the phone calls, right?
Yeah.
But we're watching each other making our phone calls. So maybe Dave didn't feel so great that day, right? He comes in, he's like, "Man, I had a rough day yesterday. Things didn't go my way," or maybe the kids were rubbing the wrong way that morning, right? At the end of the day, he's like, "Man, I don't really feel it." And then he takes a look over, and there's his brother Devin, right?
Yeah.
And man, he's over there making phone calls, right? And then there's a brother Clint, and he's making his phone calls. It's like, you know what, man? Yeah, let's do this together, right? And I think the other thing is we're celebrating the wins. We're literally you're a win, David win, so we celebrate you all the time because you're getting all kinds of success. But we celebrate the wins, right? We're spiking the football, so to speak, in the background while we're making these calls. We're talking through a sales chat, texting back and forth. Hey, I got a great appointment, or I just got a contract, or I got a lead, or had a great conversation with one of my past customers, and we're going to help them out with saving some money, right? And that's what we do. We encourage each other on. And I think, again, this goes back to, not just being great success partners in business, being great success partners in life too, right? When you're surrounding yourself by a group of like-minded, like-hearted people, and you're out there doing the activity together, as you mentioned before, we're better together. We're linking arms. We're doing the right things. We like to call it sweat. We sweat the process, same way every time. As a result, we start to create successes in our life. And while the average loan officer's out there funding 1.3 loans a month, Dave, last time I looked at your report card, that's just not where you are, right?
No.
And that has to do with the activity. And that's how a lot of the loan originators at our branch are. We see very successful people out there because they're just doing the right activity. I know we're kind of going off in another direction because you said state of the mortgage market, but this is the state of the mortgage market, right? Because if you're a loan officer or an agent and you're looking about how do I have success right now, this is how you do it, right? This is how you do it. You get out there and you do the hard thing. You pick up the phone, you make the phone calls, you have connections. Who are we calling? Are we just calling people out of the random phone book? I mean, we could.
Yeah.
But that's all we do, right?
No. We're calling top tier agents because we I want to surround myself with like-minded and like-hearted people.
That's it. People that want to work the way that we want to work. Yeah.
So at the end of the day, I say it all the time. If you're not one to work at my level, I can't help you. I can't help. Unfortunately, I can't help the realtors that are doing 1 or 2 transactions a year. Not that I can. I treat everybody the same. It's just I can someone that's doing 10 or 15. I can add 3 to 5 additional leads to their portfolio. Someone that's doing 1 or 2, what's a half or one a year going to do for them?
Well, I think that's why we called it the show, right? When we sat down and we said, hey, let's start a podcast. And we're going to call it the Real Estate Success Partner. And why would we call it? Not necessarily that we're just the success partners. All the people we're having on the show, those are our success partners, right? These are the people out there that are doing hard work. We're out there doing hard work. And when we team together, we create great success. We're not just better together in our branch or better together with our friends and family. We're better together with the agents that we serve. And, when we find these like-hearted, like-minded people, as you guys have watched time and time again, guess what? Our activity is so similar, right?
Yeah.
Because the folks out there that are really making an impact and a difference, they're all doing the same thing. And I think this is a big one too, because we talk to our guests about this all the time. So I'm going to hit you with a question, Dave.
Okay.
Thus far, in your professional career as a loan originator, what's the one moment that you trigger back to and you say, man, this is why I wanted to do this, right? This is why this is my career. I'm going to take this on and this is what I want to do.
Man, Devin, I've had so many, but my background, Devin. I spent 20 years in banking. I was a senior VP for a payment processing or credit card processing company, a couple of startups.
Did you work?
And then I came to mortgages, and it's been the most fulfilling thing in my entire life. There's no better feeling than having that giving someone the ability to close on their dream house. We give them the financing. We didn't find the home, but we give them the ability to find that home. I've had countless number of people cry.
But I said one transaction, Dave. You got to pick the one that made you realize this this was your calling. I'm gonna hold you accountable for what we hold our guests accountable.
Wow. Wow. It's probably one of my El Paso reps, Susan Flores.
I love Susan.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. We had a guy that bought if I'm not mistaken, it was $120,000 house. And we went through heck just to find him a house in that price range because of the economy and stuff like that. The reason why we had to find it was because his wife is stuck across the border.
Yeah.
And he had to find a house on the border so that he can go back and forth too. And we were able to close it and fund it.
And find it, right? Because it had to be I remember this transaction. It wasn't a big transaction.
Yeah, it's like $120,000.
And you got to find something that's, that's a smaller home that is affordable, that this gentleman can qualify for, that fits the needs that he has, right? Yeah. This is hello haystack, there's a needle in there somewhere, right? And you guys literally pieced that together and so finish the story, man. So what ends up happening?
Yeah. So, it went through a bunch of negotiations. It was an FHA loan. We had to end up having to fix a bunch of stuff. Thank God the sellers did. It was just a lot of moving parts. And he fell out of a lot, but at the end, to be able to close and be able to have that house ready for whenever his wife gets over, and in the meantime, that transition and stuff like that, it was awesome, man. It was just really meaningful. He really appreciated the ability to be able to get that house,
Well, because he's doing a selfless thing. He's coming over here to help his family back home.
Yep.
To provide them a better life.
Yep.
But he's got to have a place to stay so that it's convenient for him to get back and forth. And at the end of the day, you guys helped him make that dream come true, right?
Absolutely.
And you impacted his whole family, right? And that's such a beautiful thing. It truly is. So, well, it's your turn to return the favor. You got to ask me a question.
Well, let's just ask that, Devin. You've been in this business 2 decades.
A little more than that.
Yeah, 20 plus years. What's the one achievement or moment that you're most proud of?
Well, we could talk achievements all day long, but there's one specific transaction. So I'd like to go back to that, right? Because this is early on in my career, right? I'm still in my 20s, and mind you, I'm certainly not in my 20s anymore. Right?
No,
far from it. But I'm in my 20s, and man, honestly, when I first got into the industry, I didn't even know what a mortgage meant. I just knew I had a couple of buddies of mine that were transitioning from sales to mortgage. And they said, man, Devin, you got to get over here. We're having a lot of fun. We're doing a lot of cool things. And, they didn't mention the helping people part. And so that wasn't what got my attraction in the beginning. But helping people is always something that I've really always enjoyed, right? It's always been important to me to be in front of people and helping them make decisions that are smart for them. And I'll tell you the one that really made me realized that I was doing good things for people. And there was a husband and wife, and it was the wife who was talking to me. It wasn't the husband. And one of them had lost their job. I believe it was maybe him. It might have been her, but maybe it was him. And they've been making their monthly obligations, but she'd been paying them all through credit cards. And she hadn't told him this. She just let him know, hey, don't worry, we got this under control. Don't worry, we got this under control. We're going to be fine, right? And so when she called me, man, she was just, she was almost in tears. Like, I don't know what to do. I'm going to cry thinking about this. She said, I don't know what to do. We got kids in the house and we can't make our ends meet. And I think we're going to lose everything. And, I was able to look at the scenario, piece it together, and effectively I was able to pay off every single credit card debt that they have. I didn't even have to put them at the time. There was subprime mortgages, right? So our fear was, hey, do I got to take a rate of 9.99 or 14% possibly, right, to get this done?
Yeah.
We didn't have to do that, right? We were able to get our transition into a conventional cash out loan, and we were able to pay off literally every single one of our credit card debts. We actually knocked out their automobile debts. We consolidated it all into one payment, saved her. It was like $2,400 a month. And you were on this 20 years ago. $2,400 meant a lot more back then than it does today.
Sure.
And I'll never forget her when we funded. She's like, my husband had no clue that we were in this position. He never will. and maybe I'll tell him after this thing closes, and you just saved my marriage. And, and it's something to feel good about, to help somebody in that way. So for me, that's where I knew, like, hey, I'm doing really good things here for people. Right. And I think it was from that day moving forward. And then, you talk about highlight my career. Highlight my career was taking on the role of becoming a branch manager. And the reason was because it allowed me the opportunity to take everything that I knew, everything that I'd learned, right, and start training the teams that worked underneath me to be able to utilize the skill sets that I had acquired to having great success, because I was always really successful in my young career, and help more families, right? Because how are we more powerful? Are we more powerful by helping as many people as my personal touch can reach? Or are we more powerful by being able to get in front of the masses and having a group of people that are all working for the same common goal? And you know this, Dave. What's our number one core value at our brand? Family. Absolutely. Hands down, it's family. And, that's the families we serve. That's our personal families and their growth, right? Bringing those families, to generational wealth, right? And then, the business family, our folks that we spend every day with, breaking bread with. So, that's why I'm in this industry. That's why I'll never leave this industry, because I love it. I love it.
I say it all the time. I'm walking this path with God and everything else right now, and I'm trying to serve more. And as I go to church, I'm reminded every day that I serve every single day by being at work.
Yeah.
So
you're absolutely.
So I have to remind myself, hey, it's not like I just serve on my own free time, but I do serve every single day. Every single day, every family that I can help, everybody that I can get into a house is one better person because of it.
That's 100%, man. You're a servant leader, right? You're out there doing the good things, and there's something selfless about it. And let's be honest with you. Hey, last couple of years certainly haven't been as lucrative for either one of us as previous years has. But I can be honest with you, despite some of the struggles that we've been through, right? This has been some of my favorite years in the industry.
Oh, you know what? They say that your toughest times are the times that builds character and that you remember the most, and the hardships.
Yeah. That's exactly right. And I think the one thing we'll always know, coming out of this is, man, we made ourselves better people. Taking on the process that we did, joining the MMA and the Freedom Club and the Leadership Academy, and surrounding ourselves and immersing ourselves with such great people that have great agendas, people that truly care, right? And, what a selfless group of people that say, hey, look, I know traditionally in this industry, nobody shares your secrets. Here's my playbook. Have a look. Through it. Take whatever you want and bring that over to your business, right? And I'll tell you what, man, I've changed as a person there too, because I do the same thing now too. In fact, I've got an open calendar to loan officers across the United States who literally just jump on my calendar randomly. And I have meetings with these folks, and I help educate them as to how they can have some of the same successes that you and I are having today. So, man, I love it. I love what we're doing over here. And man, I wouldn't change it for a world. Maybe rebound a little faster.
We're coming. We're there.
But you're right. So let's get back on topic. So then we'll close this bad boy out. See, I told you we didn't know where this is going to go.
Yeah.
So ultimately, state of the mortgage industry. It's been a rough couple of years in regards to higher interest rates than people are used to.
Yep.
It doesn't mean they're high interest rates, but I think you pair that off with a market where homes appreciated 20%, which creates insane inflation.
Yep.
It makes it very difficult for people to qualify. It makes it very difficult for people to move out of their homes because they have these great rates and they're stuck in mortgage purgatory, right, so to speak, and they don't want to give up that 2% rate. But what we're seeing happen right now is a lot of the same people have had that credit card debt, right?
Yeah.
They started inquiring more and more and more and more debt. They got all this cash in their house. They're going, well, how do I get access to this cash? Because at the end of the day, if I refinance the house, I'm going to have to take a higher rate, and and it's scary, right? But what we also know is that the average credit card in America today has a rate over 25%. In fact, a lot of these are approaching 30% interest rates, right? And the biggest difference between a mortgage and a credit card is that mortgage is a fixed interest rate over a fixed period of time, where a credit card is amortized daily, right? So every day you don't pay those balances off, you're adding 28, 29, 30% of those cards. And so what we're starting to see, people that don't want to purchase a new home, are they're tapping into the equity that's in their house to help with their financial struggles, right? And as a result of that, a lot of those people are starting to find some relief. So we are seeing some folks that are finally going, you know what? I tap out, I do need help. But the great thing is that they have that 20 to 25% of equity that they gained that they can dip back into. And that's a beautiful thing, right? That's a beautiful thing. So, love it, like it, hate it, leave it. At the end of the day, that's where we are today. But the good news is, talk about moving forward. You mentioned it, but just touch on what's expected in quarter three, quarter four, beginning of 2025. Right? What do we got on the horizon? Right.
So as we sit here today, the Feds are expected still 3 rate cuts by the end of this year. Now, when they come, we don't know. So they're expecting.
I think it's 2 now. I think they're down to 2.
It could be possibly 2, but the fact that they're still cutting rates as opposed to increase them like they have been the last 2 years is a huge thing. And then they're saying going into 2025, they're supposed to cut them some more, and even into 2026. So the prediction is 3 consecutive years of rate cuts. So you're looking at and then the industry softening up a little bit. So
it is.
I mean, it's just they're saying 2024 is supposed to be the 3rd best purchase year in the last decade.
Followed by 2025, right?
Yeah.
Which again is going to rival 2024. So, we know there's some really great things on the horizon. If you're out there thinking about, hey, when are rates going to come down? It's not going to happen till the end of the year, right? It's not going to happen when we want it to. Unfortunately, that's how life works. We never get what we want when we want it. I don't know why that can't be, but it just doesn't work that way. But what we do know is there's some good news on the horizon for those folks that are waiting for rates, but you don't have to wait for the rates, right? Because the home price of any home that you're looking at today is most likely going to go up in value, more than likely 5 to 7% within the next year. And every time that you're waiting, you're leaving the opportunity of gain that equity. And we know the rates will come down. So you guys have heard it before. I hate the marry the home, date the rate, right? Man, I hate that terminology because I've heard it so many times. But the reality of the situation is, if you truly are needing to purchase a home, it's not smart to wait. And the reason that we say that is because you're leaving the opportunity for the equity that you could be gaining on the table. And effectively, home sellers are accepting less money on their offers now, which is never the case when rates drop. They either want what they're asking or they're expecting for a larger offer to come in, which means it's going to inflate the price of the home even more, right? And if you buy the house now and put yourself in a great position, gain the equity over the next 12 months, you're going to see rates come down at the end of the year or in the beginning of 2025. You're going to have the ability to refinance that and put yourself in a great position. I know I've said this a million times, but it's not going to change because it's just a fact, right? So if you're wondering when the right time to buy a house is in this economy, if you can afford it and you need it, it's right now. It's literally right now. So, if you popped in here and that was the message you were looking for, and we waited 30 minutes to get to the answer and talked about all kinds of things you probably didn't care about, right? Or maybe you did, right? At the end of the day, that's our prediction for, what's going on in the industry. Dave, anything you want to add to that before we wrap this one up today?
No, man, I think this was good. I think it was a great State of the Union.
Yeah, it's good stuff, man. Good stuff. Well, hey, if the folks out there want to find us, what markets do we serve, David?
All 50 states.
All 50 states. All 50 states. And I'm not going to rattle off a phone number because John's going to put it right down there in the lower thirds. In fact, hey, John, come on around here, man. We don't do this very often, but we're having a little in-house moment. So let's get some behind the scenes here so you can see our videographer. You guys have heard his names a million times. This guy right here, my good friend John, he's going to go ahead and put all that information in the bottom of the podcast.
Yep.
And, you need to call us, right? Because we're going to take care of you. Website will be down there, thedubucteam.com. You guys know how that works. John, if you want to find John, get yourself a shameless plug, man, because John does videography work. This guy is really good at what he does.
Definitely.
John, how do the folks out there find you?
Yeah, they can go to 770advertising.com, and I'll put it in the lower thirds, or they can call me at 408-421-9730.
Hey, and excuse his business cards because they're terrible, but his actual graphic design work and website work is unbelievable. So if the guy gives you a card, just put it in your phone and laugh silently, and maybe now he'll get some new ones.
I got new ones. I got new ones.
My man. So I guess if that's it, we're your real estate success partners. I'm Devin and Dubuc.
I'm David Nguyen.
And if you want to check us out, you know how to find us on the lending side because that just popped up. But come on out to realestatesuccesspartners.com. Again, that's realestatesuccesspartner.com, or visit us on YouTube. We'd love it if you guys would subscribe. We'd love it if you guys would comment. We'd love it if you want to be a guest. We just love you guys for following us. So until the next one.
See you guys.